Hey, fourth graders, Mr. Klingon here. We are going to be finishing up chapter 4 today. Okay, so we started chapter 4. It will be a long night last time, and now we're going to continue off after this little page break here. Okay, so please make sure that you've listened to the first part of chapter 4 and, of course, chapters 1, 2, and 3 before listening to this. All right, now if you remember, in the beginning of chapter 4, um, Kirsty had a little funny fit because she was frustrated that her new shoes were made out of fish skin instead of leather. Just another way that we're learning about how different life is when your country is at war or when your country is being controlled by another army. There's a lot of shortages of things like there was no rubber for tires on a bicycle, no sugar and butter for making Christie's pink frosted cupcakes. Not enough coal and wood to burn in the winter for heating your home. Um, so we also learned about how the King of Denmark, King Christian X, had destroyed his own naval fleet. So a navy is like the military ships that a country might have for fighting. So the king decided to blow up his own ships because the Germans were coming to try and take them over for their own use. So rather than give his ships to the Germans, he decided to blow them up himself. All right. So we also left off where Kirsty and Anne Marie were making plans to go over to Ellen's house. Remember, Ellen and her family, the Rosens, are Jewish, and it was the Jewish New Year coming up. So they were going to have kind of a celebration, and Anne Marie and Kirsty were going to join. Okay? But this time was to be different. Leaving for school on Thursday with her sister, Anne Marie saw the Rosens walking to the synagogue early in the morning, dressed in their best clothes. She waved to Ellen, who waved happily back. Lucky Ellen, Anne Marie said to Kirsty. She doesn't have to go to school today. But she probably has to sit very, very still, like we do in church, Kirsty pointed out. That's no fun. That afternoon, Mrs. Rosen knocked at their door, but didn't come inside. Instead, she spoke for a long time in a hurried, tense voice to Anne Marie's mother in the hall. When Mamma returned, her face was worried, but her voice was cheerful. Girls, she said, we have a nice surprise. Tonight, Ellen will be coming to stay overnight and to be our guest for a few days. It isn't often we have a visitor. Kirsty clapped her hands in delight. But, Mamma, Anne Marie said in dismay, it's their New Year. They were going to have a celebration at home. Ellen told me that her mother managed to get a chicken someplace, and she was going to roast it, their first roast chicken in a year or more. Their plans have changed, Mamma said briskly. Mr. and Mrs. Rosen have been called away to visit some relatives, so Ellen will stay with us. Now let's get busy and put clean sheets on your bed. Kirsty, you may sleep with Mama and Papa tonight, and we'll let the big girls giggle together by themselves. Kirsty pouted, and it was clear that she was about to argue. Mama will tell you a special story tonight, her mother said. One just for you. About a king? Kirsty asked dubiously. About a king if you wish, Mama replied. All right then, but there must be a queen too, Kirsty said. Though Mrs. Rosen had sent her chicken to the Johanssons, and Mamma made a lovely dinner large enough for second helpings all around, it was not an evening of laughter and talk. Ellen was silent at dinner. She looked frightened. Mamma and Papa tried to speak of cheerful things, but it was clear that they were worried, and it made Anne Marie worried too. Only Kirsty was unaware of the quiet tension in the room, swinging her feet in their newly blackened and shiny shoes. She chattered and giggled during dinner. Early bedtime tonight, little one, Mamma announced after the dishes were washed. We need extra time for the long story I promised about the king and queen. She disappeared with Kirsty into the bedroom. "What's happening?" Anne-Marie asked when she and Ellen were alone with Papa in the living room. "Something's wrong. What is it?" Papa's face was troubled. "I wish I could protect you children from this knowledge," he said quietly. "Ellen, you already know. Now we must tell Anne-Marie." He turned to her and stroked her hair with his gentle hand. "This morning, at the synagogue, the rabbi told his congregation that the Nazis have taken the synagogue lists of all the Jews, where they live, what their names are. Of course, the Rosens were on that list, along with many others." "Why? Why did they want those names?" They plan to arrest all the Danish Jews. They plan to take them away, and we've been told that they may come tonight. "I don't understand. Take them where?" Her father shook his head. "We don't know where, and we don't really know why. They call it relocation. We don't even know what that means. We only know that it is wrong, and it is dangerous, and we must help." Anne-Marie was stunned. She looked at Ellen and saw that her best friend was crying silently. "Where are Ellen's parents? We must help them too." "We couldn't take all three of them. If the Germans came to search our apartment, it would be clear that the Rosens were here. One person we can hide, not three. So Peter has helped Ellen's parents to go elsewhere. We don't know where. Ellen doesn't know either, but they are safe." Ellen sobbed aloud and put her face in her hands. Papa put his arm around her. "They are safe, Ellen. I promise you that. You will see them again quite soon. Can you try hard to believe my promise?" Ellen hesitated, nodded, and wiped her eyes with her hand. "But Papa," Anne-Marie said, looking around the small apartment with its few pieces of furniture, the fat stuffed sofa, the table and chairs, the small bookcase against the wall. "You said that we would hide her. How can we do that? What can she hide?" Papa smiled. "That part is easy. It will be as your mama said. You two will sleep together in your bed, and you may giggle and talk and tell secrets to each other. And if anyone comes—" Ellen interrupted him. "Who might come? Will it be soldiers, like the ones in the corners?" Anne-Marie remembered how terrified Ellen had looked the day when the soldier had questioned them on the corner. "I really don't think anyone will, but it never hurts to be prepared. If anyone should come, even soldiers, you two will be sisters. You are together so much, it will be easy for you to pretend that you're sisters." He rose and walked to the window. He pulled the lace curtain aside and looked down into the street. Outside, it was beginning to grow dark. Soon they would have to draw the black curtains that all Danes had on their windows. The entire city had to be completely darkened at night. In a nearby tree, a bird was singing. Otherwise, it was quiet. It was the last night of September. "Go now, and get into your nightgowns. It will be a long night." Anne-Marie and Ellen got to their feet. Papa suddenly crossed the room and put his arms around them both. He kissed the top of each head. Anne-Marie's blonde one, which reached to his shoulder, and Ellen's dark hair, the thick curls braided as always into pigtails. "Don't be frightened," he said to them softly. "Once I had 3 daughters. Tonight I'm proud to have 3 daughters again." Now look at the next chapter title, "Who is the Dark-Haired One?" Interesting. All right, if your teacher assigned you any work or questions to respond to, make sure you do those now.